IANO episode 25. Welcome, guys. Cheers to you, and cheers to Mr. Eddie Van Halen. R.I.P. EVH. Throat cancer. He was first diagnosed with it in 2000 or 2001, if I remember correctly. Never saw Van Halen before. Have you? I know they reunited back in, was that 2007? That was the Police. I think it was 2012. Help me out here. But, I've been into this kind of music for a very long time. And a lot of the people that are into this and a lot of the musicians that I'm into are very much influenced by Eddie Van Halen. All I've heard about from him over the years, he's a good guy, amazing guitarist. And Hannah, cheers to you. My sister just got a job at Whole Foods. She's been struggling through the quarantine and everything. So Hannah, shout out to you. She's working right now. So happy for you, Hannah. But Eddie Van Halen, R.I.P. At the top of every episode, I like to start with a little quote of the day. And quotes that stood out to me was what Jimmy Page had said about Eddie Van Halen. And that was this. He said he was the real deal. He pioneered a dazzling technique on guitar with taste and panache that I always placed him above his imitators. So there you go. The one adjective that jumps out to me that how Jimmy Page described Eddie Van Halen is the term dazzling. Because to me, if there's any guitarist that is who was a wizard on the guitar and dazzling, was Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin. So that was a nice tribute to him. A lot of the musicians that I follow and I'm into, a lot of tributes, outpouring of love for Eddie Van Halen, including Jimmy Page and even Howard Stern. Howard Stern recently interviewed Metallica, their first appearance this year, public appearance in the quarantine and COVID and all that stuff. But Howard had some really cool things to say about Eddie Van Halen, and even had a guitar that Eddie had signed to him and wrote some bullshit on it. And the way Howard was showing this guitar to his camera lens and just kind of talking about it, it just reminded me of what I do here. I'm on episode number 25, and it's just so cool. So seeing Howard enthusiastically talk about a musician that he's into just reminded me of the whole premise of what I do here every week, generally on Saturdays at noon. Mike McCready of Pearl Jam had some good things to say as well. McCready talked about how he saw Led Zeppelin back in the how he saw Van Halen back on the Van Halen 2 tour early on in their career. And a lot of my musicians that have come out to share their love for Eddie Van Halen have talked about their first record, 1978 self-titled debut. I don't own it. I am going to very soon. It's, when I found out that Eddie had passed, I was in the middle of showings, and I was in my car, red light. I shuffle Van Halen, and on comes Eruption. And that was pretty damn cool. One of my all-time favorite songs is Running with the Devil. The music just reminds me of hitting and go on the Lake Erie in the summertime. And that's what Mike McCready said. The songs remind him of summertime. It's summer music. Always a good vibe. And just Gojira, the way they play the guitar up here is just totally Eddie Van Halen. Jim Kelly, number 12, NFL Hall of Famer, also had some pretty damn cool things to share about Eddie Van Halen. Eddie's connection to Buffalo, New York, that's pretty cool. Jim Kelly, 4 straight Super Bowls in the early 90s. And I think it was around that time that Van Halen came through or something with Sammy Hagar fronting the group. And there was a picture that Jim Kelly posted of him playing kind of the guitar and Eddie watching him. Pretty cool stuff. So R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen. Never saw him live. I've been into this style of music since I was 15. I'm 32 now. And I just remember when I was just discovering this whole entire brand new world, the one band that kept coming back to me was Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, those three bands, Led Zeppelin. He's in my DNA. That's what I'm getting at. But the fact of the day, I like to go into today's facts and music. Eddie Van Halen's ex-bandmate, David Lee Roth, Diamond Dave, turns 65 years old today. Diamond David Lee Roth. I read a lot of rock biographies, and I'm talking for the first time today, so I'm just not warmed up at all. Went out for a good jog this morning. It's nice. But David Lee Roth, you read any of these rock biographies from the 70s and 80s, and all the best stories have David Lee Roth in them. Even recently, he had a Vegas. He was playing in Vegas, and he was walking out of his hotel room. He's being taped, going to the show or something. And he's walking by this room, and this room was blasting some Van Halen music. And he's just like, hey, whatever. So he gave him a knock on the door, and this guy opened the door, didn't know who he was, but there was someone behind him that was just rocking out to the Van Halen song. It's like, oh my God, David Lee Roth. Very cool. Funny dude, very smart dude. He was recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, one of my biggest inspirations for what I do here on this YouTube show and what I hope to continue to do. But David Lee Roth was on that podcast, and he's just, I'll post a link in the description below. Entertaining and just really, really smart. Really good watch if you haven't seen that before. But Diamond David Lee Roth, I saw him open for Kiss earlier this year, before pandemic. And I remember the camera went right up to him on the stage, and he kind of turned his attention from the fans to this camera, and he just kind of looked, and he was singing at the camera, and I just felt like it was like out of a music video, like Jump or something like that. Sweet. Today in 1987, October 10th, 1987, you know what the #1 song in America was? It was Whitesnake's Here I Go Again. Isn't that funny? October 10th, 87, Here I Go Again. Do you want to know what the #1 song was today in 1999? Christina Aguilera's Genie In A Bottle. Yeah. I remember being at my friend's place, and he was introducing me to Napster for the very first time, 99, around this time. And Genie In A Bottle was huge. And, I was, I was 11 years old, really attracted to Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and all that. So I loved that song back then. Isn't that nuts? And she was like, 18 or something then. But today, when I think of October the 10th, one thing comes to mind, the one thing, ever since 2004. The second time I saw Metallica was October the 10th in 2004. Is at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo, New York. I wore a St. Joe's track hoodie to the show. We were up there in the 100 level, me, my twin brother Ryan, and Jared Lee. I remember we got The Thing That Should Not Be. I took that for granted. I've seen the band 38 times. I've only seen The Thing That Should Not Be twice. That was one of them. And what a special show that was. Very in my infantile stages of being a Metallica fan. The Unforgiven, Whiskey in the Jar, No Leaf Clover, Open with Blackened, killer set. Me, Ride, Jared Lee, HSBC Arena. And when I go on showings, I drive over the Skyway. It's right over the arena. And every time I see that arena, I think of the amount of NHL playoff games I've seen in there. I think I saw Lemieux and Yager when they were on the Penguins back in 2001, facing the Sabres. And just all the shows. And I've been to Disney on Ice as a kid and everything, but October 10th, 2004 was a really special time for me, being from Buffalo, New York, and having Metallica come in, and them actually hearing them say Buffalo, New York was awesome. there's a bootleg out there from 1984, 85, and they played Rooftops or a bar down in downtown, and the audio just had people going, Buffalo, fucking right, they like that. Just amazing shit. Love it. So today's subject is Opeth. Opeth. Opeth, they're out of Sweden. They're out of Stockholm, Sweden. They've been around since 1990. In fact, today is the 25th episode of I Ask No One. This shirt I got at their 25th anniversary show. They played 2 nights at the Orpheum Theater in LA. I got this. Take a look at that shit. Those are the few dates they played. And they played a record called Ghost Reveries in its entirety. To say that that's my second or third favorite Opeth record stresses how fucking special Opeth is to me. I got the candle on over there. It's like what is it? A pumpkin spice latte, even though I don't drink the shit. So what a special time. So I wanted to bring that up to you. I was gonna talk about that show for the 25th anniversary Opeth show, I Asked No One, episode 25. But if you remember last week, I talked about Korn's album release party for the Serenity of Suffering. And that was a hell of a time. You have to go back and check out the episode. I'll include it in the description below afterwards. But that same weekend, I hit the road. All right, so I left the show. I went to drop my buddy Mike Lane back off at his place in San Pedro, California. So downtown LA, 45 minutes down to Pedro, back up another hour or so up to where I lived in Culver City. It's like 2, 3 a.m. And then I got a little cat nap in for a few hours. I think it was 6:30. I woke back up, cottonmouth, put a muscle milk down and hit the road up to Napa Valley, California. My little brother Leonard at the time, he was working at Robert Sinsky Vineyards right there on the Silverado Trail. God bless those guys out there going through all those crazy ass fires. I can't even imagine. But I would oftentimes, living in Los Angeles, I lived in SD, San Diego for 2 years, then Los Angeles for 2 years. So we're talking 2016, October. When I think of October concerts, I think of that Korn show I was at, Serenity of Suffering, and I think of the show that I'm about to tell you right now. Going from Korn to drop Mike Lane back off, Mike Lane of the band Detriment, and then shooting back up to LA, sleeping, going up to Napa Valley just to kind of mellow out. I used to mellow out every once in a while. I'd say once every 3 months. I'd go up and Leonard would serve me wines, charcuterie boards. He'd pick me strawberries and figs. And I would sit there and chill and be away from the concrete jungle of Los Angeles, California, and the hotel, how busy it was and everything. And I would just detach, and I really enjoyed doing that. So met up with Leonard there around noontime, chilled for about, 3 or so hours. And then Leonard had some work to do at the winery, so I drove back to his place. Leonard lived at a home right near the winery on the corner of, if I remember correctly, Vintage and Pinot. Was it Vintage and Pinot? It was Pinot Drive and Vintage Street or something like that. And he lived with some pretty cool roommates. I went there, chilled. Len came in, had a few beers, and we were going to go back to San Francisco that night to a venue called the Warfield, right there in the Tenderloin District in San Francisco, California. And if you've ever been to SF in the Tenderloin District, the stench of urea and urine is pretty strong. But Warfield Slayer filmed a DVD there back when. Pretty fitting name for that. But here's me and Len driving over the Golden Gate Bridge. Just taking a look at the comments. Yeah. What's up, Tony? Mike Holden, man. Out of the darkness. We drove over the Golden Gate Bridge south, right? So we're going into SF, and I remember playing Nirvana. We were playing some Come As You Are, or It Smells Like Teen Spirit, driving into the city. And we found a good parking spot right near the place, kicked back some beers, trunk up, It's chilly in the air. Just enjoying some brother time, me and Len. And Leonard right now is back out there, and with all the fires, he's going through a little change. So I'm happy for you, Len. But we were just kicking it, having some Heinekens, got a little comfy, went into the show. The opener was a band called The Sword. The Sword are from Texas. Back in '08 on the Magnetic Tour, Metallica took them out. And The Sword, I really liked their first few records. I really kind of fell off with them. But if you never heard them before, if you like Black Sabbath, if you like Priest, Metallica, more on the bluesy, heavy side, The Sword are where it's at. Winters, Wolves, and Freya, and they got a few good ones. I'm a guy for song titles. I love cool song titles. The Sword have really cool song titles and a cool band name. But as soon as I went into the venue, of course, you got to check out the merch stand, right? And that's exactly what I did. And I couldn't say no to this. This is a used Evans drum head from Opeth. And the band signed it. I didn't have the band signed. It was already signed. But this was my prop holding it during the entire show. I made sure to not have my arm touch it with all the sweat and everything. I was guarding this to protect the signatures. And let's see. We got Michael Eckerfeld. We got, this is tough. I'm going to say Frederick. I'm going to say Martin Mendez. I'm going to say Axelrod and Joachim. That's all. But this is a really cool ass drum head I had for the entire set. So when Opeth were starting their set, now they just released a record called Sorceress. Sorceress came out in 2016. As a diehard Opeth fan, I've seen them in Germany at the Rock am Ring. I've seen them up in Toronto. I've seen them SF, all over the world. And I'm very familiar with their albums. I actually don't own Orchid. I don't know a shit thing about Orchid. Claire, if you're joining me, I apologize about that. Claire from Britain. Call her here. So they opened up with a song called Sorceress, and it was the self-titled song off that record. Off that record, there's a song called A Strange Brew, or no, it's called Strange Brew. Not only one of my favorite Opeth songs, one of my favorite all-time songs. But Sorceress, very fuzzy, heavy kind of song. It's the song that introduced us to the record, Persephone into Sorceress. And the way they entered the stage was just really, really cool. Coolest way I've ever seen them enter the stage was with the lights, with the riff coming in. And, it started to get heavy, and we're on the floor, and it's just me and my little brother, Leonard. Leonard is younger than me by about 3 years. And I'm going to take a look at the comment here. How many drum heads do you have now, and can you remember all the bands? Good question, Tony. I got all my drum heads in the other room. Off my memory, I do have drum heads. I have a drum head from, of course, Opeth. I've got a handful of Gojira ones. I've got a Limp Bizkit one painted by Wes Borland. And what else? Other drum heads do I have? I have the Korn one from last week. I talked about that one last week. And I think that's it. I got like 6 or 7 of them. So there you go. I'll be hanging those fuckers up on a wall someday. Everyone's got a someday item. My someday, people call it a man cave. I'm going to call it Kev's Crypt. And you're invited to the crypt anytime someday. I'll be in the market for a new home, me and Ashland, next year. So we're already taking a look. But this set, what up, Chris? Chris from Charlotte's joining here. What's up? This set was so special having Leonard there. I've never been in a mosh pit. I've been in pits with Len, right up front. But to actually be in the thick of it and getting shoved around and throwing our bodies around. Leonard's a lot smaller than me, than his twin brothers Ryan and Kevin. Leonard has hair everywhere on his body except for the top of his head. He's the Italian-looking Pisano, one of us. And Leonard is a fish head and a Grateful Dead aficionado, and Pink Floyd. He got us into Pink Floyd. But here's Len. I think he had a long-sleeve shirt on, or some cream-colored thermal or something like that in Opeth pit, So the next song after Sorcerer was a song called Ghost of Perdition. Ghost of Perdition is on, again, top 3 favorite Opeth records, Ghost of Reveries. And that one gets heavy. And I underestimated that crowd. So Opeth comes out, plays Sorceress, 6th song. Ghost of Perdition comes in. And I'm just looking around, and me as a big brother, I want to protect Len. You know, I got this on for a reason. I've never had to use it. Ever. But what's up, Chris? Helmster's here. Cool. So Ghost of Perdition's getting going, and I start to kind of feel and then people separated. And I'm like, okay, this shit is about to go off. So I just felt everyone just started to shove each other, and here's the circle starting, and we are right there in the thick of it. Me being an older brother, Leonard being the small body, I kind of put my arm around him just to kind of bring him in closer. And he gave me one of these. He like shrugged me off, and I'm like, all right, dude, no. So he did it again. He shrugged me off. And here he is like this. He's like this, but he's like this, like happy. You know, he's just like, I don't know, he had a few beers in his system, maybe a little smoke, but he's just going like this. And then all of a sudden I see him trying, well, he's doing a good job, but he starts shoving people and he's going around. So if Leonard's doing that, then I'm going to be joining his ass. So that's exactly what happened during Ghost of Perdition. We got out of the pit for some more drinks and kind of chilled, and they played some more. I love Opeth, man. They played the Grand Conjuration, which is Halloween as fuck. You know, there's a reason why I got my candle on over there. This is the 25th anniversary show I was talking about at the top of this I Asked No One episode, number 25. Thank you for joining again. This is the set list that I got from the keyboardist. You know, I asked the guy up front of the table at the stage to bring that over to me. This is the show previous, the year previous, but I wanted to show this because they performed Ghost Reveries in its entirety right here, and then they played some more songs. This is from, just really cool. This is one of my favorite pieces right here. But this is from the 25th anniversary of the Opeth show, Ghost of Reveries, from the year prior. But back to the set from San Francisco Warfield, Opeth. Man, they went into Heir Apparent. I love Watershed. I got into the band for Watershed. Going back to the Metallica Poor Post to Me boards at the age of 20, I was on the blog there, and someone made a comment, Mick Cassidy, he made a comment that Metallica didn't release the album of the year, Opeth did. So if one of the biggest Metallica fans says that, I checked out Watershed, and that's how I became a fan of Opeth. And it was during the winter of 2008. And to this day, I associate the band with fall and winter, more so fall, because of this show. And you know, Leonard and I, we jumped back in the pit for the encore song. But before they played Deliverance, I have the set list right here. The band would take requests right up front. Michael Eckerfeld, one of my all-time favorite musicians, another really smart, intelligent guy. Extremely, I'm not going to say underrated, because if you're into metal, you know Michael Eckerfeld is a wizard. But, the audience requested a few songs that they kind of jammed on, and I think my voice may have caught them there. I think in Philly, I yelled The Throat of Winter, and he definitely heard me, and they didn't play it. But fans are yelling out all these songs to play before the encore, which included The Night in the Silent Water, Soldier of Fortune. Love that. It's a Deep Purple cover from the Ghost Reveries sessions. Soldier of Fortune. Beautiful. The Leper Affinity, Black Rose Immortal, Under the Weeping Moon, Harvest, and Strange Brew. Cool titles, huh? Love Strange Brew. Top. Probably my favorite Opeth song, Strange Brew. There you go, Rye. So that show ended, and what a special time that was, just feeling kind of like beat up, and I'm with Leonard, and we're in San Francisco and the Warfield, and we're going to drive back to his place in Napa. Just a really cool ass time. I miss concerts, man. It's been a long time. I miss it. You walk into those places, it's like, those are my people. I'm very much at home at a concert. That's why that drive-in was so badass with Metallica a few weeks ago. So cool. So there you go. Any Opeth questions? Here's Dad. Let's hear more about the mosh pit with Len. All right. Leonard, I was a proud brother when I was seeing Leonard, this fish head, not be intimidated with going all out. He was stoked. I saw it in his eyes. He was just focused and getting into it and having a fun time. And seeing Leonard do something like that was just made me a proud brother, because Leonard's into all sorts of music, and so am I. Really, I am. I listen to metal less than I listen to spa music. Seriously, I drive around with the XM Sirius station spa, and occasionally I'll turn that up, and it's just weekend music to me, and cleaning the house kind of music. But with Leonard, and all those types of the types of themes and music, and just seeing him in his own, and seeing the people playing off of his playfulness and getting pissed doing it was really funny. It was really funny. Many concerts to go to. Yeah, Luke. Hopefully there's shows next year. They're already canceling. They're already canceling some things in February and March. My opinion, obviously, concerts going to be the very last thing to come. There's maybe going to be spots in the country that are going to allow concerts to happen, or not in the country, in the world, definitely not America. Well, there are parts in America. James Hetfield lives in Vail, Colorado, where COVID is just non-existent. There's places where it's just none of that there. Little shout out to a band called Intrepid Travelers. They're actually going to be playing a little jam over at Stockman's Tavern on Halloween. So I'll be going over there to check out John Full and the band. Check it out. That's it. Yeah, just I was proud as shit seeing Leonard just go, and me joining in, and I didn't have to. He fell down a few times. I remember that. He fell down, and he had, of course, if you fall down in a mosh pit, it's the unwritten rule. You pick their asses up. And I've been in some pretty cool ones. Suicide Silence, Lamb of God, Cannibal Corpse. First time I ever moshed at a Metallica show, actually, because I'm always right there up front connecting. Toronto 2017 for Sabbath True and Hit the Lights. Sick. Yeah, Ragdoll Leonard. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, why not more drive-in concerts, Dad? You know what's cool? In the Midwest, Sully Erna of Godsmack and Aaron Lewis of Stained, they're going out with each other to different drive-ins in the country, and they're gonna play, acoustic, electric sets. That could be the future. I didn't see Lockport, New York trying to drive in on the itinerary. Hopefully soon. But that's what may be happening. People actually going to drive-in concerts. And they're totally worth it, Dad. I think I spent, $110 for my car. Up to 6 people is allowed. So $110 got us into Transit Drive-In. My sister turns 25, October the 24th. So maybe I'll have her on that day, and we'll talk a little bit about the drive-in. What's up, Hannah? You ready to come on IS No One soon? Yep. So that's it. This week, Linkin Park. I'm a massive Linkin Park fan. Especially those early records. Linkin Park is on Turbo XM, SiriusXM Turbo. It's now turned into Linkin Park radio. And driving around showings to and from Elma and Lancaster and so on, I just been playing Turbo, and you hear different commentary from the band, and you hear different facts and rarities and stuff. It's been really fun. I get my Hybrid Theory box set soon. Linkin Park's debut record, Hybrid Theory, it's sold over 10 million copies in the U.S. alone. It was released 20 years ago on October the 24th. So October the 24th is hitting 20. And to help celebrate that, I am immortalizing that record in December, to be continued. But if you're around through, tomorrow, it's going to be on. Go on SiriusXM Turbo, Linkin Park Radio. It's a good time. AC/DC released their brand new song, first song in what seems like a decade. Song called Shout in the Dark. Shout in the Dark off the Power Up record. AC/DC's back. You know who's also back? I like the bald drummer. He's cool. He played with them in Donington 91. But Phil Rudd. Phil Rudd is arguably one of Lars Ulrich's favorite drummers of all time. He got in some legal trouble the past few years, whatever. Brian Johnson, he was told that he was never going to be playing on a stage again unless he wants to risk total hearing loss. So he took a step away. Brian Johnson, the singer, he's been to Tempo Restaurant here in town in Buffalo. But Brian Johnson, he's into drag racing or like Formula One racing or something like that. And those are really loud cars. So he blew his eardrums out, whether he was driving or he was watching it. And his doctor told him no more shows. So they brought Axl Rose in, and Leonard, or my twin brother Ryan and Hannah, went and saw Axl Rose fronted AC/DC play the arena, which I was so jealous about, still am. Never seen AC/DC before. I'm hoping, praying that these concerts come back soon enough for them to come play. And Power Up is the record. I looked at the track listings. Again, I'm a really big fan of song titles. The new Deftones record, sick, cool song titles, including The Spell of Mathematics and, Genesis, pretty sweet. But there's not one track on the new AC/DC record that has the word rock in it. And I like to see that. Pretty cool. I think it's 11 tracks. It's coming out in November. I already pre-ordered the CD and pre-ordered a charger station. It's got like this charger station. It's got AC/DC Power Up, so I can charge my phone. My phone's always running out of batteries. I'm on this thing 5 to 6. I'm averaging 5 to 6 hours of screen time a day, and that's almost no social media. It's all business. So to have that charger and have the AC/DC Power Up right there, it's just very appropriate. Put it down on and stuff like that. Thanks, Bob, for the logo. Pretty badass, huh? Well, we're at minute number 32. It's funny. I time checked last week and it was minute number 32, and I check it now, it's 32. I was born March 2nd. 32 is my favorite number. There you go. Keep a lookout for the new AC/DC record in November. They're back. And that new song, Shot in the Dark, I get chills thinking about it. It literally sounds like it's off a Highway to Hell. It sounds like Bon Scott era AC/DC. Check that shit out. LA Lakers, what a game last night. Holy crap. I was LA Lakers versus the Miami Heat. God, it went down to the end there. I'm a LeBron James fan, and LeBron, he's a few years older than me and Ryan. We've been following his career since high school, 2003. And he's been to 10 finals. And he just reminds me of Anakin Skywalker out there. You just know it's LeBron. He's just his style, so unorthodox. Love it. Yeah. So Chris mentioned Shot in the Dark is also an Ozzy Osbourne song. It's off of the Ozzy record, The Ultimate Sin, 1986. Love that song. Fun fact for you, my favorite Ozzy record, The Ultimate Sin. Jake E. Lee. Luke, you know what I'm talking about. Killer of Giants and, Shot in the Dark and what the hell is that? Thank God for the Bomb. There's a few different other cool ones. So go Lakers. They're playing again tomorrow. Hopefully they wrap it up and they bring the Stanley Cup back to Los Angeles. Kobe Bryant, RIP, man. I think it'd be a really good bookend to this really fucked up year for the LA Lakers to win. Even though Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler and those guys, wow. They're shorthanded and they're giving it to LA Lakers. Really cool. Next week is the 20th anniversary of one of my all-time favorite records is Limp Bizkit's Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. That I'm going to get into a little bit, but I'm also going to get into the time that I saw and I spent time with Limp Bizkit, bringing them back in the fold on I Ask No One. Limp Bizkit in Sydney, Australia in 2018. No words, but I will have words next week when I talk about it. You guys, thanks so much for joining. I hope you stay happy, healthy, hungry, and heavy. Have a great weekend. Happy Halloween, and metal up your fucking ass, man. See ya.